Hello, and welcome to the Hill Law Group podcasting, where we talk about all things estate planning. I am Meredith Hill, and today we have attorney Ericca Pearson, who is another attorney at the Hill Law Group. In the Hill Law Group, we're an estate planning firm based in Bethesda, Maryland, and we help clients create, secure, and protect what matters to them most. We serve clients within Maryland, DC, and Virginia. Part of our mission at the Hill Law Group is to educate the community and the public about estate planning because it's a topic that's not talked about enough, in my opinion, well, in our opinion,
Hmm.
together. So we started this podcast to try to help put information out there about estate planning to make it less scary for people so they can understand what's going on and the processes that occur during estate planning. So each episode focuses on a different topic, and today's topic we are going to talk about what happens if you do not have a will in place. And I thought about this topic because I recently had a conversation with someone who had a death in the family, and the person died without a will. And the surviving members of the family had a lot of assumptions about who was going to get what when it came to the assets from the deceased family member. Um, and a lot of those assumptions were incorrect. So I wanted to create this episode to try to put information out there to educate you so you know what happens if you pass away and you have not put a will in place. Um, so Erica, how about you start off by talking about what exactly a will is?
Well, a will, I think most people have the kind of the concept of what a will is. A will is where you indicate, where do my assets go? All the stuff that I own, where does that go when I pass away? That's one of the things that a will does. If you have children who are under the age of 18, you want to name who are going to be the guardians of your children in your will. That's probably one of the most important things that a will does for individuals who have children under the age of 18. You definitely want to be the person who names the individuals in a certain order, or just naming those people who take care of your children if ever you aren't able to take care of your children. And as a side note, I know lots of us name godparents for our children when they are born. Godparents is not, they are not a legal title. If you call people the godparents of your children, let's just make sure that we name the godparents of the children as guardians in your will. So just a side note. And then the other thing that a will does is it indicates whether you want to be buried or whether you want to be cremated. And I know sometimes these decisions don't seem fun, and they may seem like you want to kind of push them off because you feel like if you're making these decisions that it will make things happen faster than they should. And the truth of the matter is that's just not true. Um, the thing to know, a couple things, is that just like Meredith, you were talking about, that inheritance aren't automatic. Things just don't, just think that they're going to spring into action right after you pass away, that everybody will kind of like, it'll come like a puzzle and everybody will get the things that you want them to or that they feel like they're entitled to. But that's not true. You want to put that will together to indicate those things that we just talked about. Where does my house go? Where does all my stuff go when I pass away? Who can serve as the guardian of my children, and whether I want to be buried or cremated, those types of things. And the second thing is that you want to be the one that's in control of that. That if you don't put that in writing, an estate plan will be put together for you. Each state has its own set of rules that indicate how your stuff goes if you don't have an estate plan in place. So if you don't want to push through and put together the estate plan, you can let the state do it. I don't think that's what you want to do. At least I wouldn't want to do that. I don't like to say that I'm controlling, But when it comes to my stuff, I think most of us would rather say, here's where I want my assets to go, as opposed to leaving it in the hands of the state to say where things should go. And then having somebody have to show up in court to fight for guardianship of your children. I think that's one of the biggest things as well.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and it's good to point out that the state is making your estate plan for you, because a lot of people assume that the state will just take all of your stuff, and that's not the case at all. Unless, like, no, there's literally no one, and no one has claimed anything, and it's been an extremely long time. And I think even then, like, it goes into an account, and even then, like, someone could still pop up and say, like, "Hey, I need to get this," and then they can take it. But this, just like you said, the laws where you reside, will dictate the set of rules that your family has to follow when it comes to dividing up your assets in your estate. So the government's not going to get everything. They're not going to come and raid your house and take everything and empty your bank accounts. That's a no-no. What's also a misconception is that I get a lot of people telling me, well, I already told this person this is how I want it. And I already told my daughter that she's going to get the house and that she's going to get all my bank account information, or my money in the bank, and all my stocks. Have you written that down? No, but I told her she knows what to do. She knows what to do. And do you only have one daughter? No, I have 7 kids. And so just because you told someone what you want, it is not legally binding in any capacity at all. Uh, just like how you mentioned with the godparents not being legal,
Mhm.
um, it's a nice concept, but in the eyes of the law and the court, um, they're not going to be appointed guardian unless you have them written down in your will. Same thing with your house and your assets. As long if it's not written down in either a will or a trust document, it's going to go through those laws that are established by the state that you live in. So make sure that whatever you're telling people, you actually have written down somewhere.
And it's a real good way to leave a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos when you don't leave instructions. So as much as you say to this one daughter what you want to leave to her, um, just think about the fact that she's going to be fighting with those other 6 imaginary siblings that we've just created. She told me she was going to leave it to me, and they're like, why do you think that you're entitled to all of this? We're all of her children. So those are the types of the chaotic uh, relationships that you can leave behind. Even if you want to say those things, let's leave it in cleanly. So even if they're mad at somebody, they're mad at you, and I guess you're not here to have to deal with all of that. So let's do it that way. But it is a matter of when we think about when we pass away. I think you want more people to think about, oh, I miss that person. Oh, all of the good memories that you have of that person, as opposed to you leaving kind of this mess for everybody having to kind of clean up and put together, and having really some resentment because of the fact that you did not take responsibility and do the things that you needed to do. So you talked about it a lot for years and years and years, but didn't really look into, what do I need to do to make sure that this is solidified? What should I do to make sure that this is legally binding? And there probably are some really good reasons why you want to leave it to just the one daughter. Maybe that's the daughter that's taken care of you for years and years and years. Maybe that's the daughter there are a laundry list of reasons why you want you to leave your assets in the way that you want them left. So let's make sure that your wishes are honored, as well as leaving kind of relationships intact, and doing all those kind of things that adulting that come along with adulting.
Yes. And another thing to note is that a lot of couples that are committed long-term couples, but they're not married. And they may even own a house together. A lot of times they own a house together. They have children together. They're doing all the things that you would imagine a married couple to do, but they're just not legally married for one reason or the other. Um, and so in those situations, you want to make sure that you are having a will so you can account for that for your partner and making sure that they are not going to be kicked out of the home. They have a place to stay. So for example, if you are living in a house, or you purchase a house with your partner, you're not married, depending on, and you both don't have a will, depending on how your names are titled on that deed, when one partner passes away and they don't have a will in place to account for that house, that 50% portion will go to that partner's family. So now the surviving partner is sharing ownership of their primary residence
And or fighting with that group of people.
and at that for yeah, and or fighting with these family members of their deceased partner. That's not a good situation to be in at all. Um, and if the family wants to sell the house, it can be just a nightmare situation that can all be avoided by just writing a will. Very basic will. So when you think about estate planning, there's many documents that go into place, but baseline will. I have a last will and testament. We like to educate the public. And so with this, I would like to say, make sure you have an attorney draft well, yes, your estate plan, but also your will, because you want to make sure that it's drafted properly, it's using the right language, it's following the laws, it's witnessed properly, filed somewhere properly. Um, because there's a lot of people that try to just write it down on a sticky note, or try to do it on a software system. And a lot of times those software systems end up outputting incorrect information. So just invest in finding a competent attorney that can draft this document for you.
Because when you'll find out when it has all the holes in it, when after that person has passed away, and then
Yeah.
it's too late to fix the mistakes that had very well good intentions. So here's the thing, that at least when people are doing it themselves, they at least wanted to, put something down in writing and try to make sure that things are left intact.
Mhm.
But if you don't have an attorney to look it over and to make sure that that everything is done well, that everything is done accurately, that the time that you find that out is after somebody has passed away, and then you have to then go through all of the probate, which is that court order process that we're all trying not to go through, all of the red tape that you were trying to avoid with the will, um, because you didn't have someone look it over. And here's the
Mhm.
thing that I know as a lawyer, there are things that I can't do. When my car breaks down, I can't. I mean, some people are really good at going on YouTube and figuring out how to fix their car. So I have to take it to somebody who is skilled in that. When something happens with my sink, I have to call the people who are skilled in fixing sinks. We just so happen to be the people that are skilled in putting an estate plan together. So, what you want to do is seek out the people that are skilled to do the things that you need. It is certainly, it really is a part of life. Lots of times we think that we're pushing that off and that's not a part of life. It is. It's just as much a part of life as planning birthday parties, as planning vacations. All of those things are events that occur in your life. And at some point in time, unfortunately, we're not going to be here forever. And that may be a good or bad thing. I don't want to be 198 years old and can't go to my car and do what I want to do. So there comes a time when it's time to let the young people do the things that we were here to do. So you just want to make plans for when that thing happens. And because we are passionate about estate planning and about helping you put together the plan that makes the most sense for your family, give us a call. Help you.
Yes, yes, give us a call. Visit our website. Um, so yeah, so that's our topic for the day. What happens when you don't have an estate plan or a will? Your state will write one for you. And it can be something that you want. Oftentimes, it's something that you don't want. So take the time, hire an attorney, very least get a will done to protect yourself, your assets, and your kids. And if you are located in Maryland, DC, or Virginia, feel free to reach out to us at thehilllawgroup.com. You can schedule a complimentary virtual meet and greet with an attorney. It is not a consultation, but it's a way to have it start the conversation about estate planning and learn a little bit more. And then within that, you can schedule a consultation. But it's free of charge. We would love to talk to you. And we will see you next time on the Hill Law Group podcast.